Today we're going to be going over some of the best fragrance clones that I bought last year in 2023. So I'll admit, I actually planned to have this video out at the end of 2023, so it would have been, the best clones that I bought this year, but that got pushed back, and a few months later, here it is. So had to rework the title a little bit, but everything has stayed the same. These are some of the most notable clone purchases that I made last year. I think for the most part, a lot of these did come out last year, although I could be wrong on that. Regardless of that, they were new to my collection last year, and they are really, really good. Clones are a great way to save money. You're hearing about niche and expensive designers hyped up all the time, and you start feeling left out because you don't want to spend that much money. Just know that there are alternatives out there. They might not be as flashy and pretty as the actual designer or niche itself, and sometimes the presentation might be a little bit weird looking, but still, it gets the same thing done at the end of the day. This first one is Versace House Ice. Kind of out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. The original House came out in 2015. Or like early 2016, somewhere right around there, kind of Invictus Aqua 2016 time. That's a long time ago at this point, and just now, this came out. And I mean, got to give credit where credit's due. The talk and the hype around House hasn't died down. In fact, it's only seemed to have grown and picked up over the years because the Invictus Aquas have all been discontinued at this point. And so I was not expecting to see anything like this, but it came out and here we are. So what does this one smell like? It still does maintain that original Invictus Aqua House DNA, but with a little bit of a kind of a fruity hybrid twist of like a Eau de Parfum type of smell, which is kind of interesting. So I find it to be just a little bit sweeter than the original House and or that Invictus Aqua DNA, which is a little bit opposite to what you would expect an ice flanker to portray, but that's kind of how it comes across to me. Still a lot of freshness, but it does have more of a bubblegummy sweetness, and that might be an issue for some who want to wear this exclusively in summer. If you live somewhere where it gets really hot and really humid, this might be a bit too much for you. I will say, though, this is a big people pleaser. I mean, you can wear this out, and people are just going to love how it smells. I mean, it just works, and it's so easy. You don't have to think about it. You just spray it on and you're set for anything. It does have that playful smell to it. It's also incredibly strong. I did that one spray and it's going to smell like that in here for the whole duration of this video. Like, this stuff is no joke. It's a really good release, though. It was cool to see. I'm glad it came out, and I can definitely find myself wearing this one a lot as we kind of start working our way into the warmer weather. When it's really hot, I'm going with other options. But for your average summer evening or cooler, overcast summer day or just being inside, that's a great option for you. Next up, we have Fragrance World Eau de Spice Extreme. It's Mark and Victor Eau de Spice Extreme, so they're kind of going after the name, but then it's also just a Fragrance World at the end of the day. So definitely creative, right? They're making it as obvious as they possibly can. And this was really cool to see also because Spice Bomb Extreme has been out also since, what, 2015-ish? Somewhere around in there, 15, maybe 16, somewhere around the same time. But up until now, we never really had any affordable clones or alternatives in general to Spice Bomb Extreme. There are some things out there that maybe give off a similar feel, but nothing that straight up cloned it. This one does, and they do a really good job. It actually has a little bit of kind of a tobacco vanille style of tobacco spiciness as well, but it still does maintain the Spice Bomb Extreme DNA too, so it's kind of interesting. Is it an absolute one-to-one clone? I would say no, it's not. Fragrance World has had more accurate clones than this in terms of other scents out there, in my opinion. They've been dead on with some. This one has a little bit more leeway. It's still heavily inspired by, but just not as close as some of their other ones. But for the price point, I really can't complain about that. Spice Bomb Extreme has always been on the higher end of things and a bit out of reach for some. I mean, 90 ml for upwards of $100 on discounters, that's not cheap. This one around 40, it's going to be a lot more obtainable. So really cool to see this. Presentation is pretty sharp as well, and I like the gold. You know, you can tell what they're doing here, and it looks cool. This next one is kind of the launch of a brand new cologne brand, and this is by far one of my most anticipated colognes ever. You know, even before this was launched, prior to that, I was always thinking, I wish somebody would clone this particular fragrance because it's rare, and when it is in stock, it is expensive. And I would like to be able to talk about it more without feeling guilty because you either can't buy it or it's just too expensive to buy. And finally, it happened. From FOMO Parfums, it is Gary's Den. And I've already covered this one many times, so I'm sure you know what it is. But it is a Dior Homme Parfum clone. So Dior Homme Parfum is not discontinued, but the distribution here in the US and Canada and probably some other places is, you know, slim to none. It has been in stock more recently lately, but then that's where the second part of that equation comes in. It's expensive, like upwards of $180 for 100 mil. Niche pricing or designer elixir pricing, right? It's expensive, and not everybody wants to pay that, and you shouldn't have to. I think clones offer a good, you know, alternative if you just want to smell good on a budget. And in this instance, about $40 as well, $37 to $40, you can have an incredibly close alternative to Dior Homme Parfum. Getting that leather, getting that bit of oud, that iris, and some of that rose. This is a work of art. It smells beautiful. It's straight concentration. It's strong. This stuff is amazing. Next up, we have Supreme L'Homme Extreme, which is an eau de parfum. This one, of course, is by Fragrance World. And again, you guys know at this point what these are all about. They're not trying to be shy. L'Homme Ideal Extreme cologne. Another one where I had those thoughts, because there was a point where L'Homme Ideal Extreme was kind of like DHP, where it was either out of stock most of the time, or when it would come into stock, it was pricey. Not as bad as Dior Homme Parfum, but still upwards of $100. It has since evened out a little bit, and it's more consistently in stock, but it still does sell out. But you can also get this for about $40. That's kind of the typical rate for a lot of these clones, and it's very close. They did a great job. The plum, the tobacco combo, mixing with that almond is spot on. And this is kind of what I was referencing to, at least one of them, as far as Fragrance World goes. Like this clone here is way, way more accurate to L'Homme Ideal Extreme than this here Eau de Spice Extreme is to Spice Bomb Extreme. So, you know, they have some amazing work, some just not as close as others. And this one here is about as close as I could possibly ask for in a clone. Like, it's really, really good. Another one that has great performance. It's such a unique scent DNA that I think every guy should at least try it out. And you can also try it on a budget here if you just were to go for this. Moving over to Lattafa, this one is Mahir Legacy. Part of me was starting to second guess if this was a 2022 release. I can't remember. It might be, but I think I did get it last year. Although now I'm starting to second guess that as well. These years are starting to get crazy. So maybe I'm off on this one a little bit. Maybe I did get it in 22, so about going on 2 years ago. But I know I for sure talked about it a lot last year because it's great for summertime. It's a Parfums de Marly Sedley clone. And Sedley I've talked about a lot. One of my favorite fresh PDMs. I prefer Sedley any day over Percival. And then for me, it's kind of like Sedley and Greenlee are right on the line. Still probably pick Sedley, but it's close. I do like Greenlee a lot. And one thing that you guys are probably very much aware of at this point is that Parfums de Marly's are no longer as affordable as they used to be. And to be fair, they never have been affordable, but their discounter pricing has gone basically up to retail, and every now and then they'll be put on sale and you can get them, but then they go back to retail. And so, you know, I mean, even at their sale price, $190 for 125 ml, that's still expensive, but their retail 300 plus is just a no-go. This is, again, around $35 to $40, a very close alternative to Sedley, which I love. Why Eau de Parfum is one of the most hyped up designer scents of the past several years now, and again, with that comes a price tag of, you know, $105, $110 at discounters. Retail is a bit more than that. or you can get Alhambra, Eau de Parfum, and you can smell very similar at a fraction of the cost. This isn't the only clone. There's also Lattafa Fakar Eau de Parfum, and it's great as well, but this one has a better looking presentation, and so I think it's probably the better buy. Now, between the two, as far as scent, they're basically exactly the same. Again, from the same clone brand here, Lattafa. So, and you know, you might think, oh, this is Alhambra. Well, Alhambra is also Lattafa. So that's how that works. And so I would say just pay for this one and get a better presentation in the same thing. And also, I'm not discrediting a lot of these, you know, fragrances in terms of like the originals, like Eau de Parfum and Spice Bomb Extreme. I'm not saying that they're not worth the money, but I am trying to acknowledge and also try to help other people acknowledge that everybody's in a different financial spot to where not everybody wants to pay that amount. If you were to ask me, is Eau de Parfum worth the money? Is Spice Bomb Extreme worth the money? In my opinion, yes, they are. They're really, really good fragrances. But just because it's worth the money doesn't mean that everybody should or wants to go out and spend that much on it, especially when you can get something like this that is a lot of times less than half the price. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, next up we have Amber Oud Exclusive Blue, and this is a very premium Layton clone. And Layton, another PDM, of course, is by far their most popular offering, but again, pricing is just not so well on it. It's seen better days. And so you could go for something like Detour Noir, you could go for Lalique White and Black, Lattafa, Alhambra, Leyden, Leyden, and it has a kind of similar presentation. I think if you're going to spend the money, you know, about $60, a little bit more expensive, but still, you know, decent compared to the real deal, this is by far your best bet. It's the most high quality, best performing Layton clone that I have tried. It is shocking to the point where it just kind of makes you second guess spending $200+ on your bottle of Layton. That's how crazy accurate and high quality this one is. It is really, it's kind of concerning and a bit interesting. Running down to the end with Fragrance World, Dome's Parfum Intense, right down here. Probably can't even see that, but that's what it is. That's a Fragrance World. It's an Eau de Parfum. Probably can tell what that one is. And of course, looking at the picture, I assumed that's what it was. I got this one in. Second I smelled it, that confirmed exactly what it is. And yes, it's true. It is a Dior Homme Intense clone. And there aren't too many out there when you really think about it. There are plenty of things that smell similar to it, but often from other designer or niche brands coming in at a cost at around the same or more than Dior Homme Intense itself. So nothing that's overly affordable that's an alternative until this one came around. So you're getting that iris, the ambrette, the sweetness, all of that stuff, just at, you know, typical Fragrance World pricing, $40 or so. Don't go out and pay $65, $70, $80, $100 on these clones. I feel like I shouldn't have to mention that, but I will anyway, because that's just not right. So when you can get these for around $40, $50 max, right? I think that's where it kind of stops being worth it. Then you got the green light, but above that, it's just, you know, save up a little bit more and just get the real one at that point. But you should be able to get a lot of these for around the $40. I think Rasasi House Ice was a bit more expensive and maybe still is because it's new, but that one also isn't as much of a clone as some of these others. It's more of a hybrid type of deal. So just whatever you feel as though your money should go towards is what you should do. Okay, and last up we have Laventure Intense by Al Haramain. So this one here is, yay, surprising, an Aventus clone. And there have been a lot of Aventus clones out there. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's kind of, you know, boring at this point. But this one is a really good one. A lot of them are, okay? I'm not going to say that they're not. But this one has some of the best performance to price ratio as far as Aventus clones that I've tried. Really, really strong performer. Remember, Laventure Intense, not the original. This one's a bit newer and not nowhere near as hyped up as the original, which was talked about to death at one point. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some of my best and favorite clone purchases of 2023. Again, this video was a little bit late. I wanted to get it out at the end of last year, like in December, but that didn't happen. But here it is anyway. even now, these are still worth picking up, but the clones are continuing to be released into this year, so I'm going to keep up on those as well. If you want to be notified of anything rare, discontinued, or hard to find coming into stock, jump on my mailing list and texting list at the link and number down below, and you'll be notified anytime something does come up, or a good sale or anything like that comes up as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.